The audiovisual translation is made up of all those techniques of linguistic transfer whose aim is to convey codified messages throughout several semiotic channels, both verbal and nonverbal. There are several language transfer methodologies involved in audiovisual translation, some of which are now widely used, while others have emerged in recent times, also thanks to the exponential development of computer technology. According to the classification drawn up by IFCMBA in 2003, there are 13 methodologies, 8 of which are dominant types, while the other 5 are defined as challenging, as in more culturally and linguistically demanding. Audiovisual translation also finds application in the film-television field, as for example in dubbing. The dubbing technique consists of eliminating the original speech of a film work by replacing it with dialogues and target language through articulatory and expressive synchronization. The primary aim is to circulate the translated film product even outside the country of production, thus making it accessible to a much wider audience than the strictly national one. But, sadly, the elimination of the original voices leads to an inevitable loss of authenticity of the final product due to the presence of a rather small group of voice actors who, being few in number, often find themselves voicing numerous foreign actors. In this sense, we can say it is inevitable, therefore, that the uniqueness of the character is lost compared to the original version. In addition to the dubbing actor, there is, of course, another professional figure who is essential to the success of the dubbing job, namely the dialogist or adapter. The latter acts as a cultural rather than linguistic mediator thanks to his knowledge of both the source and target languages, thus assuming a fundamental role in communication. His task is therefore to understand and interpret the original film product in order to analyze the characters, script, and language, grasping the communicative strategies employed, the register, and the different communication levels. The pitfalls for the adapter are many, represented above all by the culture-specific elements that, by hiding behind a given linguistic form, actually convey a cultural content, thus helping to anchor a film product in its context of origin, whose colors, flavors, and atmospheres they attempt to recreate despite the limitations of cinematic fiction. Other translation pitfalls are represented by dialects and sociolects, which very often do not find a filmic translation that keeps the sense of the line and the peculiarities of the character unaltered. For instance, in the series Tear on the Edges, written and directed by the Roman cartoonist Zero Calcare, the narrative simplicity and directness with which the author describes the Roman reality are enriched by the use of dialect with which he masks a criticism of today's society. The result is therefore a very low register, characterized by the marked presence of swear words and idiomatic phrases that have led Zero Calcare to be inevitably criticized. However, in addition to the reasons for his artistic choice, there's also the desire to make the product accessible to an audience as wide as possible, giving voice to an often mistreated and marginalized reality such as that of the Roman suburb. However, the choice to resort to dialect brings with it many translation issues that are often unsolvable. In this sense, it becomes insidious to adapt a work like Tear along the edges. Indeed, in the given example, note the clear disparity between the linguistic registers of the two versions. The difficulty in translating the sociolects into English is evident, which although it may come close thanks to the use of different solutions, does not faithfully reflect the nuances of the lines. Added to this is the choice of standard English, thus lacking in diatopic and diastratic variations. But even Italian adapters, of course, encounter similar challenges when adapting a foreign product. This is the case with the American TV series The Simpsons, in which the characters, especially the minor ones, were given different regionalisms in the original version. For Italian dubbing, therefore, various diatopic and diastratic choices were made regarding their characterization. For example, the caretaker Willie, quarrelsome, angry, and heavily addicted to alcohol, is Scottish, and this is easily guessed not only from his accent, but also from his image, particularly from the kilt he wears in some scenes, and the red color of his beard and hair, as well as from a famous line in which he calls himself the ugliest man in Glasgow, translated into Italian as the ugliest man in town. In fact, the Italian version of Willy has nothing to do with Scotland, having been dubbed with a very pronounced Sardinian accent, which one might think deviates totally from the original characterization. However, the choice would seem to be due to the fact that the Scottish accent, like the Sardinian one, is perceived as hard and appropriate to characterize an almost perpetually angry character. As we have seen then, the differences between the various versions of anything product often result in difficulties that are complex to translate and adapt. In any case, regardless of cultural, social, and linguistic gaps, I believe it's always better to provide viewers with appropriate means to understand a work than to leave them alienated.